Well, welcome to the April 24th, 2021 edition of the Bartimaeus Report. This morning, I would like to, my experience over the years in talking to people, no matter who they are, generally what seems to happen is that very often we talk past one another. We use the same words, and yet these words have an entirely different meaning to us. We talk about any subject, and as I said, we use the same words, but we wind up miscommunicating. We're not listening to one another, and we're not understanding one another. And this is particularly true when we talk to our Muslim friends. Christians communicate to Muslims, and Muslims communicate or talk to Christians, and yet they misunderstand one another. And there was a pamphlet years and years ago published by a good friend of mine and former colleague, Ernest Hahn, and he had a booklet called Understanding Muslim Misunderstandings. And it works both ways, I think. But when I look at, but you really see it, I think on social media. You have a number of people, both Muslims and Christians. I'm not going to single out any one group particularly, but and they misunderstand one another. But what I have seen with, especially in social media, and especially from our Muslim friends, is they really don't understand Christianity, nor, I have to say quite frankly, many don't take the time to really learn. They pick up stuff, I don't know whether they just pick more stuff up on social media, and they don't bother to investigate what they post is actually true. And I want to give you, and one of this is basically on the triunity of God, or is God a Trinity? And I want to show you some examples of what I found just recently on Facebook about these misunderstandings. So let me just bring this up. And we can see the first one, and this is from an individual, and he says, Islam, and then, you have your colon, one God, Christianity, three God. I think he needs to have three gods. Common sense is supposed to show that Islam is the only true religion. Well, our Muslim friend here thinks that that when we talk about God being triune, that we are talking about three gods. Three gods would be a triad. It would not be a God who is triune. And so this is a typical misunderstanding from our Muslim friends. And I'm hoping that if this individual sees this post, that he will go to any website. You can even go to Wikipedia, or Prophet Google, and type in, definition of the Trinity, and come up with a basic definition of the Trinity. May not agree with it, but we need to show or be able to define what the early church believed about the Trinity, or God being triune. Can these individuals give us a historical and theological definition of the Trinity? Here's another one. Welcome to Christianity, where Jesus is God and God sends Jesus, the Father is God. It means Jesus is the Father. This is modalism. God is born and people killed God. Again, a total, misunderstanding of what we really believe. And in fact, this particular individual, I don't think he really cares. God is slapped and tortured badly. Father is God. God becomes man. Jesus is God. This is, like I say, this is just gobbledygook. I mean, and again, it just takes a little bit of research to, pick up on this. It doesn't take. It's not a huge effort, and yet we see these type of posts constantly. And I've got another one here. And this is the old canard. Christians, I believe you went to school. 1 + 1 + 1 equals what? Well, 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3. Well, what's the problem here? Well, basically, and I'm going to expand on that in a few moments, is an error category. We are confusing category A with category B, and I think I made a video earlier on this, and pointed it out, and I'm not too sure whether very many Muslims even took the time to look at it. And I've seen some Christians make the same mistake. They'll say, well, 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3, but 1 × 1 × 1 equals 1. It's a bad analogy. You are still making an error in category. You're confusing category A with category B. So what's the problem here? And I'm going to read a quote. Just let me get my glasses on. And this is from a book. I don't know whether I can show this. Let's see if we can. Yep. Here we go. The Our God is Triune. And in this book and I recommend that you get this book if you can. And in it are a number of articles written by a number of individuals on the triunity of God. Excellent book and an excellent resource, especially for Christians. Wouldn't hurt Muslims to read it either, because then maybe at least they would be able to engage in a real conversation. But I just want to read this one basically on Unitarian assumptions of being and person, and this is by my good brother Edward Delcourt, and I just want to read what has been posted here. When discussing the Trinity and or the deity of the Son with Unitarian groups, we must be aware of their starting theological commitment, namely, God is one person. Okay, so so we want to. And Christians need to be aware of this too. In other words, every time one is applied to God, the Unitarian reads into the term one as person. Hence, by default, the Unitarian reinterprets monotheism to mean a unipersonalism, although there is no passage in the Old Testament or the New Testament which clearly identifies God as one person. It is the one fundamental premise which Unitarian groups launch their attacks on the doctrine of the Trinity and the deity of Christ, thus rejecting any notion of another person, that Jesus is God. And so what Brother Eddie has done here, he has shown, is that the theological starting point for a Unitarian, and that would obviously include Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, Oneness Pentecostals, Philadelphians, whatever group, is that God is one person rather than three persons. And they do not make a distinction between the being of God and the person of God. So, moving on. So, in understanding Muslim misunderstandings, we need to see that is basically on the nature of God. They're making an error of category. They're confusing category A with category B. Muslims, confuse monotheism, as we've already read, the belief that there is one God, which is our category A, with Unitarianism, and God is the person, being a God with a person of God, which is category B. Now we're just going to look at this a little bit closer here. So here we are. In this little chart here, we have category A. And category is what God is. Category B is who God is. And in the little box below, we read, the being or essence, nature of God are those attributes which solely belong to God and define him as God alone. We may say that God is what God is ontologically, distinguishing him from all other created things. All the stuff that makes God God. Whereas the person of God, that's category B. Category B is who God is. The person of God is who God is, those attributes which allow God to communicate with his creation. So I hope this has been a help. Again, this is for both Muslims and Christians, so that we can further the discussion, so that we can actually learn from one another. So again, thanks for watching. By the way, in closing, how many of you old guys remember Brill cream? Because I would like to get a little bit of Brill cream to hold my hair in place. It's been so long since I've had it cut. Anyways, God bless. God for watching. Anyways, thank you. Thank you for watching. God bless and have a great day.